North Korea says U.S. attitude in high-level talks are extremely regrettable, while U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says there have been progress on almost all of these central issues, including setting a timeline for its denuclearization. South Korea's President Moon Jae-in is visiting India today. Both the countries are likely to discuss a host of issues, including peace in Korean Peninsula. His visit comes just a month after the Trump-Kim summit in Singapore. A touring boat rescued a Russian couple off Thailand's Phuket island on Thursday after their motorboat was caught by high waves and stormy weather. The pair were reportedly enjoying a sea trip on a jet ski when sudden strong winds and heavy rains whipped up high waves, putting them in danger in the middle of the ocean. Spotting the stranded couple, a passing boat carrying some 91 Chinese tourists and 21 local crew members from Thailand immediately came to the rescue. It's a race against time for the Thailand rescue team. Fight to save 12 young football players, and their coach gets tougher with a dwindling oxygen supply after 2 weeks in the cave. The team's 25-year-old coach has apologized to the children's parents through a handwritten note for bringing the kids in a dangerous situation. The death toll in Phuket boat capsize incident has reached 41. Thai authorities said that rescuers found 3 more bodies from the sea off island of Phuket on Saturday afternoon. This comes 2 days after 2 tourist boats capsized in rough waters, killing dozens of Chinese passengers. The rescue effort had been carried with 500 meters around the sunken site so far and would be expanded further tomorrow. Militants from Somalia's Al-Shabaab group stormed the government building housing the Security and Interior Ministries on Saturday after twin bombing wounded at least 17 people nearby in central Mogadishu. Smoke drifted from burning vehicles following a suicide car bombing close to the presidential palace and a second blast near the security building. A spokesman for the Islamist group Al-Shabaab said that it had carried out both bombings. At a religious summit, Pope decries murderous indifference in Mideast. Pope Francis led a summit of religious leaders demanding peace in the Middle East. The Pope said that our murderous indifference is fanning violence and sparking an exodus of Christians. Pope Francis convened the summit in the southern Italian city of Bari. The city has been a gateway to the Middle East for centuries and home to the relics of Saint Nicholas, a figure venerated in both the western and eastern branches of Christianity. Some 800 people gathered in Berlin on Saturday to show their support for migrants trying to reach Europe and to condemn daily drowning in the Mediterranean, carrying banners with slogans such as "Imagine it's your family sitting in those boats." The peaceful demonstrators demonstrated against Frontex, the European border agency. Hundreds of protesters took part in a march in Brussels against an upcoming NATO summit. The summit will be held next week in the Belgian capital, home to the US-led military alliance. Some 1,400 people took part in the demonstrations, which brought together peace, human rights, LGBT and left-wing activists. Protesters marched along the street holding anti-NATO placards and chanting slogans against US President Donald Trump's presence at the summit. Hundreds of protesters calling for an end to gun violence in Chicago partially shut down a major freeway in the city. The protest restricted traffic as it demanded lawmakers and members of the community to do more to stop the bloodshed, chanting slogans including "Black Lives Matter" and "Shut it down." Hundreds of demonstrators marched along 2 of the freeways, 4 lanes watched by lines of police. Some protesters carried crosses. Groups of young men wielding sticks and weapons rioted in Haiti on Saturday, one day after government announced a gas price increase. Heavy smoke from charred cars billowed in the air. Shops and businesses were reportedly pelted with rocks and several hotels were attacked. banks and businesses have been shut in the wake of the violence, and public buses have stopped running. US President Donald Trump said in his weekly address that the American people reject judicial activism and policy making from the bench as he sets to announce his choice for Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy's replacement. From the moment Justice Anthony Kennedy announced his retirement from the US Supreme Court in late June, speculations have centered on whether his replacement would vote to overturn a woman's right to abortion. In Northern California, the county fire has charred almost 90,000 acres in sparsely populated wooded areas of Napa and Yolo counties. Some 3,500 firefighters faced with inaccessible terrain, high temperature and low humidity were battling the fire, which was only 48% contained. It has destroyed 10 structures, damaged 2 and threatened 110. Extreme weather conditions have gripped central and eastern Canada. The death toll linked to a heat wave in Canada's Quebec province has reached at least 54 people in 1 week. 28 of the victims were in Montreal, while the rest died in areas across southern Quebec. A crucial factor in the heat deaths was the absence of air conditioning inside hot apartments. Over 49 people are killed and at least 50 are missing after torrential rain triggered landslides and flash flooding in western Japan. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says that the situation is extremely serious. Japan's Met Agency issued special weather warnings across 4 prefectures in the west of Japan's main island of Honshu, dubbing the rains as historic. Rallies have been held in Japan recently to mark the 81st anniversary of the July 7th incident that triggered Japan's full-scale aggression against China in 1937. Some scholars in Japan noted that the Japanese people know little about the Marco Polo Bridge incident and Japan's aggression of China, let alone the lessons behind that part of the history. They think that history, if not forgotten, can serve as a guide for the future. A close aide of former president and the PPP's co-chairperson Asif Ali Zardari has been detained by Federal Investigation Agency or FIA. Senior banker Hussein Lawai was detained in Karachi after he was barred from travelling to Dubai. The agency crackdown is in connection with a money laundering case. Local media reports in Malaysia suggest that the controversial Islamic preacher Zakir Naik met with the Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad on Saturday. However, the nature of the meeting between the two men is unclear. It comes as a day after the Prime Minister Mohamad gave the clearest indication that his country will not be deporting Naik. Terror strikes India's Jammu and Kashmir. Terrorists hurled grenade on a Central Reserve Police Force party in the Budgam area of Kashmir. A CRPF Jawan was injured after terrorists hurled a grenade on the patrol party in Haidarpura area of Budgam district. The area has been cordoned off and search operations have been undertaken. Separatists in India's northern Srinagar city called for a shutdown to protest the shifting of all-women outfit. Duktarane Millat's chief and separatist Asiya Andrabi and 2 of her associates to New Delhi. India's National Investigation Agency transferred Andrabi and her 2 associates, Nahida Nasreen and Fahmida Sofi, from Srinagar Central Jail to the Indian capital in an alleged sedition case. The 3 women are expected to be produced before a court. An exclusive club of beard lovers in Thiruvananthapuram city of India, southern Kerala state, has taken up charity works and looks to shun stereotypes surrounding facial hair. Bearded members were seen dancing and stroking their long beards after organizing a blood donation camp at the Regional Cancer Center in the city. The members include people from all walks of life with the shared goal of helping people and changing their opinion. Thousands of Hindu devotees from across India thronged streets of western India's Pune city during a pilgrimage to the temple of Lord Vithal. The pilgrims set out on a foot march to Alandi, which is about 25 kilometers away from Pune. Dressed in white kurtas and traditional saris, devotees young and old braved the weather. The pilgrims fondly called each other Molly. An industrial company in India's Vadodara city in western state of Gujarat has come up with a novel way of contributing their bit for a green and clean environment. Indo Amines Limited has come up with an initiative in which an employee will plant a sapling on his birthday. The employee will be given a tree sapling as a present which he or she will plant on their own. This sapling will be planted in the company's campus and the tree will be remembered with the name of the employee. One person was gored on the first day of Spain's Pamplona bull riding festival, according to the Red Cross. The person was caught by a bull's horn during the 875-meter run. 4 other people were suffered minor injuries. Around 2,000 people attend the sprint, running alongside 6 bulls and 6 bullocks on a narrow route lasting just under 2.5 minutes. This year, the sprint was slightly faster than average. Tens of thousands of hogs rode into Prague as Harley-Davidson enthusiasts from around the world converged on the Czech capital to honor the storied motorcycle maker's 150th anniversary. Prague, home to a 90-year-old Harley-Davidson club, the oldest in the world, is hosting the biggest anniversary bash for the motorcycle outside of their U.S. home of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where a similar party starts at the end of August. London was filled with thousands of people taking part in this year's Pride in London parade. The parade itself was said to have featured around 30,000 people and is estimated to have been watched by up to 1 million others. Among the crowd was London's Mayor Sadiq Khan. Among the organisations who took part in the London Pride parade were London Ambulance Service, the Metropolitan Police and London Fire Brigade. Madrid. Thousands of people took to the streets of Madrid to celebrate LGBT rights 40 years after the country's first gay pride parade. The parade shut down traffic in central Madrid as large crowds followed floats through the city amid a festive atmosphere. Several senior cabinet members of the governing socialist, including Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska, attended the parade on Saturday. A piece of Russian culture is making its wave in the international fashion scene thanks to female soccer fans from all over the world who have come to watch the month-long World Cup. The kokoshnik is a traditional headdress worn by women and girls. These days, fans wearing kokoshniks can be seen everywhere, inside the stadium, out in the fan zones, on streets and in bars in host cities. It was deja vu for Croatian fans on Saturday night as Ivan Rakitic's final penalty to the keepers left sent fans ecstatic around the nation. Croatian fans in Croatia and around the world were again taken on a roller coaster of emotions after their win over Russia. There were unreal scenes on Zagreb's main square, where thousands of fans gathered to watch the match. Flair songs, drink and tears of joy again flowed. England fans were in dreamland on Saturday as the Three Lions comfortably beat Sweden 2-0 in the World Cup quarter-final. Supporters watching in a bar in central London sang songs, danced and threw beer as goals from Dele Alli and Harry Maguire secured England's first semi-final since Italia 90. England now play the winner of the last quarter-final between Russia and Croatia. England have reached the semi-final of the World Cup for the first time in 28 years after seeing off Sweden in the quarter-final clash at Samara. Gareth Southgate's side dominated possession throughout the match and headed goals from Harry Maguire and Dele Alli on either side of the break ensured their progress. Sweden's attempts at a fight back were thwarted by alert Jordan Pickford, who ensured the three Lions go through to the last four with their first clean sheet of the campaign. And Croatia completed the semi-final lineup at the 2018 World Cup after edging host Russia via penalties. Both teams had battled through the shootouts in their respective round of 16 battle and they could not be separated extra time. Penalty misses from Fedor Somolov and Mario Fernandes proved decisive as Croatia progressed into the last four for the first time in 20 years. Steve Ditko, the Marvel Comics artist who co-created the superhero Spider-Man, has passed away, aged at 90 years. He was found dead in his apartment in New York. Ditko, along with writer Stan Lee, had introduced Spider-Man in an issue of Amazing Fantasy in 1962. Ditko left Marvel in 1966 but returned in 1979. One of his later creations was Squirrel Girl, who after her debut in 1992 became a cult favorite among comics fans. Actress Deepika Padukone has become the second Indian to get 25 million followers on the photo-sharing platform Instagram after Priyanka Chopra. Deepika shared a video of herself captioned 25 million in her Instagram story. She's currently ahead of cricketer Virat Kohli and actress Alia Bhatt as they currently have 22.7 million followers.